All right, we are at just after 2 p.m. Eastern, so I believe it is about time for us to get started. So first off, good afternoon. My name is Zane Ross. I am the Membership and Engagement Manager here at America Makes. I will be your host for today's America Makes TRX webinar. A little background on the TRX webinar series before I introduce Chris. America Makes has continued to expand and accelerate the footprint of additive manufacturing and 3D printing. Wait, I apologize. I am reading a script. As America Makes continues to its mission to expand and accelerate the footprint of additive manufacturing and 3D printing, we have used our TRX webinar series to create a platform for our members to present and share their information about the additive manufacturing and 3D printing world to the rest of the community and help share their knowledge and experience to our membership. If you or somebody on your team is interested in presenting a TRX webinar, please reach out to me. I will share my information in the chat, but I would be happy to get with you and set up a time. Currently, we are scheduling out to 2025. We have the rest of this year scheduled, but I would love to hear from you and get that on the calendar. One last thing to note before I introduce our speaker here. At the end of the presentation, there's an opportunity for a Q&A session. And during the presentation, if you have any questions that come up, please put those in the chat and we will go through those one by one after Chris is done with his presentation. And with that, I would like to begin by sharing with you all that today's webinar is on the additive process scaling and the impact of consumables. As additive manufacturing continues to scale, many are concerned about the costs of the machine and the powder. However, has anybody ever considered the cost of build plates, recoater blades, and outside machining services needed to keep the processes running at a high level? Do you have all the skills integrated to accept scaling your process? So it is my pleasure to introduce Chris Prue with UPM Additive to have a discussion and share a real-world case study about the impact of incorporating more into your value stream as you continue your additive journey. Chris has 13 years of experience in the AM world, actually 14 years as of recently, including plastics, ceramics, and metal. Chris is a proud Clemson Tiger, where he received both his MBA and his ceramic engineering undergraduate degree. Chris is currently focused at UPM Additive Solutions on scaling the supply chain for metal-based additive manufacturing. And outside of additive, Chris has a passion for growing hot peppers and is on a never-ending quest to find the hottest foods on the planet. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Chris for your presentation.
Well, thank you so much for that that introduction. And yeah, that is, if anyone, who's on here knows me, yes, I do love the spicy food. It is kind of my passion. In fact, this weekend I'll be picking up my peppers that I grow, my plants for the year, and so start planting those. And always a fun hobby. Anyway, so welcome everyone. Appreciate you taking the time today. We're going to go through this process of scaling and impact of consumables. So I think Zane kind of went through this, so that's just a real quick one there. If you didn't tie the name and the face together, there's the face. It's just that was last year, so it's a little bit older now. That's about it. So real quick to get started, UPM Additive Solutions, whether you know us or not, we're a global provider of products and services, partnering with customers, innovative supply chain solutions. Let me sum it up in a simple way, and you'll see it in a graphic in a little bit. We are right now in metal additive, everything but the print. So we don't own printers. We don't print parts. We service the value chain around all of that. So, what is it we do? Our process is kind of referred to as customer-driven solutions. The reason we say that is because everyone in this industry has a very unique process in how they go about making their parts, designing, slicing, processing. So there's no one prescriptive method within the industry. So as we partner with our customers, we get to know them. We get to understand where their pain points are, how we can help. And with that, we offer a set of services, as you see here on this wheel, or we kind of call it our circle of life here. Everything from feedstock all the way through to finished part manufacturing, everything that doesn't involve printing the part. So as we get to talking today, we were going to talk about the barriers to metal additive adoption. And I've been to several shows this year. I've heard several different philosophies on it. Cost, qualification time, the process of qualification, machine OEE and uptime, reliability, lack of design for additive, software availability, and I'm sure there are a bunch of others out there. What I really want to focus on today is up top at the cost, because I think it was on last month's webinar, it was brought up very eloquently that the fact of capital being available and at a reasonable rate right now is just not there. And so for companies to want to enter into metal additive, it is a significant investment and it can be a time sink to get started and get up and running. This is a quote from Metal AM back in summer of 2023. Today, numerous companies in the AM industry, young and established, rely on investments to finance their operations due to a lack of profitability. Hence, we anticipate increased market consolidation among participants in the metal AM industry to achieve necessary scale. It's a very valid quote. It makes sense. However, the idea of what we're trying to do is we want to get more machines into users' hands, because if there's more machines, then there's truly scale. Consolidation in this case wasn't really referred to, whether it was direct to looking at, the number of OEMs, whether it was looking at the number of service providers, machine types. It was hard, it's hard to say, but the idea of consolidating isn't the way that we're necessarily going to grow. We need to make it affordable, and we need to get everyone kind of in the appropriate swim lane to be able to be successful. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to present a case study. This is a real world case study that we at UPM did with one of our customers. It's a powder bed fusion focused customer. They have 4 different print labs in their facility, 40 plus printers, 6 different models of printer, a variety of build platforms. They perform 350 to 400 builds annually. And up until this time, they were a transactional customer. So when I say transactional, basically they just bought when they felt they needed something. They didn't, there wasn't a formal approach. There wasn't a blanket purchase order. They just bought as they needed it. So the before state, we went into their facility and partnered with them on a lean event. And we walked through their shop and took an inventory in excess of 500 different build plates. When we started asking, well, okay, how is this build plate? Well, it's there. Well, does it go to this area? We don't know. Is it, how many times has it been used? We're not sure. We had a variety of scrap plates mixed with good plates. So we didn't really have, defined acceptance criteria. There wasn't really a process to sort or rework rejected plates. There wasn't a point of use storage, so they were kind of everywhere. I mean, they were in drawers, they were on the floor, they were on a desk. There was a lack of usable plates, though, that was increasing because we weren't sure. And we don't want to use a plate that we're not sure of in a build, because then there is a failed build. And what's the cost of a failed build? Well, I mean, that's a wonderful statement we still have in additive called "it depends." Depends on the material, depends on the size of the machine, depends on how late it was in the build. Many variables. They also had multiple resources managing the build plate supply. So I got my little Where's Waldo there, because we really did. We had to go in and dig to find everything and clean it out. Now, I'm talking about build plates, right? A lot of you are sitting there going, it's a build plate, so what? Hopefully, this was a sentiment that existed maybe 10 years ago, where people just saw the build plate as a disposable tool. Perhaps there are many that still say, I just need a flat plate and I'm good to go. But as these machines grow larger, as the designs grow more intricate, as the interfaces change, you see on the left a variety of the plates that we make: round, square, rectangular, T-slots, through holes. I mean, they're all a little different. And so the importance of the build plate, as we've talked about powder throughout the years, the build plate is just as important, because I can give you the best powder in the world. But if I give you a substandard build plate, it's still going to fail. They complement each other. So quick background on the build plate manufacturing process. So if you come to a company and they don't have any inventory and they say, I need to get a build plate. Well, this is kind of the process we go through. We have to purchase the master plate. Then it gets shipped to get cut. Then that gets shipped and then we machine it and then we have to inspect it, package it. It could take up to 65 days if there's not material available readily. So the process should start driving your strategy for how you procure these and understanding the need for, instead of just being transactional, as I mentioned earlier, working towards creating a program plan. Okay. And with that, I say, in build plate land, have you ever reached for a build plate and it's not there? Needed one and it's not available in the proper thickness. You got this thin plate that's worked, to all get out. Do you not know where to get build plates? Do you start a build and hope it doesn't work? Have you ever heard that shearing of the bolt when your plate warps and the bolt breaks off in the machine? It's curdling. Do you have uneven powder leveling issues? Do you have multiple OEM machines? So you got to buy from a bunch of sources. This is a lot of why we exist, but this is how we go to help our customers every day. All right, so that was a little side. Now we're back. So looking at the process before at this customer, the plates were touched 8 to 10 times. I clearly have a typo right there. I have 8 to 10 item. It is time before they were loaded into the printer. I have a very good gift of being able to misspell words that turn into other words, so spell check never catches it. They went through receiving process, inspection, thickness measurement, checking serial numbers, inspection reports, moving the plates around, in-lab inspection, loading it into the machine. There were so many touch points that leads to that increased waste and risk in the process. So what did we do? I'm going to tell you right now, it wasn't rocket science. It is just using sound, lean principles to be able to help out. But it's looking at a problem that people didn't necessarily know that they had to start with. So we developed a complete process map. We rounded up all the plates that they had. So recall earlier, I had about 500 plates. It wasn't a simple task too, because we had to find them. We had to look everywhere. We sorted to allow usable plates to stay. We then shipped all the other plates back for disposition. So we had like bins and bins of these plates sitting in our facility. We then took and inspected, measured, and decided, whether we were going to refurbish or scrap. So we found clear criteria to where we said below this thickness or with this type of warpage or with this hole location, these plates should not proceed further. So I just put a little map of the process below there. Again, if this is blowing your mind, then we should talk. But if it's not, hopefully you just go, wow, this is great. They took something and were able to apply it in the additive space. We worked for 4 days at the customer site. Obviously, the disposition at our site was a slightly more extensive to be able to make sure that we had the criteria in place. Therefore, moving forward, we created a forecast for plate demand. We established point of use locations. We set min-max release quantities. We designed packaging for release and storage. So now, plates go back and forth. They go in a standard, standard cubby hole, standard location, standard inventory, and developed a weekly rhythm to engage the customer site for management. So now we start to get to the point where we can work with them as they surge and be able to have inventory on our shelves ready to go. So recall earlier that 65-day cycle. Now we've reduced that down to they can call us and we can usually have it there the same day, if not the next day. That clarity allowed the stock levels to be appropriated in that distributed facility. So what happened? So this was, by the way, this was done in 2022. And so we really only have recently looked at the long term of this now as we've gotten into, over a year and a half of working at this program, the new plate spend per month decreased by 71%. So that was tied directly to dollars, because now we know the thickness of the plate, we know how many times it's been used, we know how much material we've had to remove. We've been able to put some data together to help be predictable. We established the min stock levels. Typically, we have stock levels, at 1 to 2 weeks. So now they're not having to hold on to a bunch of inventory as well. We store 2 to 3 months of material inventory for Kanban release. It's at various stages, but it's ready and available to cut that lead time down. We have weekly engagement with them. Luckily, this is a local facility, so we can take our truck over to it. The plates are now handled only for loading and unloading. That's another piece. The plates are now delivered to the point of use. They're not delivered to a dock. They're delivered right to the machine. So the touch time has gone significantly down. Plates are now tracked by a bill job and serial number. Again, that accountability, so you can start to understand when variation is happening in your process, what you might be able to tie it back to. Is it the plate? Is it the machine? Is it the powder? Is it handling? Is it some other post-process? We can start to get smarter about how we look at that data. That data is shared, obviously, on how much material we take off, flatness, parallelism, hole locations. The communication is streamlined. We came up with fixed pricing, long-term contracts, demand, and we can start to be smarter about how we stock. In over 22 months, I'm proud to say, there have been 0 plate stockouts since the inception. So they've never had to reach for a plate and it's not there. They always have it. So that is a little result of the study that we did. And that leads me into kind of the next piece of this in looking at the value chain of metal additive. So we talked about the idea of build plates, but talk about the cost of metal additive and how many other steps there are, because parts don't just get printed and go right into service. We all know that. They get vacuum stress relief, they get removed, they get potentially a hip treatment, they get solution heat treat, they get machined, they have supports removed. All of that happens. And when you start looking at your business, your additive journey, what are your values? What is it you do well? Where are you capacity constrained? How do you control your cost structure? What are you doing on a daily basis that detracts from your vision? So, I mean, if I have my shop and I have one metal machine and I'm printing parts, I want to design and print. That's where I'm going to start making my money. If I don't have the budget yet to hire on a machinist and someone to operate a furnace, and I don't have the money to buy a furnace and buy the machine and buy the EDM, I still have a solid idea to be able to get into metal additive. Now we have ways, and we need to start thinking as an industry about ways to collaborate and allow people to focus again on that upper left, what you do well. Find your partners. That's really the gist of this conversation and what makes it significant for us to grow. How do we control and manage all that downstream? So now on top of that, even if you are working it yourself, now you have to contact your furnace vendor, your EDM person, your support removal person, whatever, however many people you have. These are just 6 examples. Some of these parts could have 12 steps into them. And at each time, the risk goes up. Your time that you have to invest on it goes up. It just doesn't make sense to have to start a business and do all of this at the same time, especially if it's not your expertise. So this is an example of an announcement we put out back in December. We got together with Nick Estock at AddUp and Ed Herdrick at NSL Analytical to talk about the idea of, AddUp being an OEM, NSL being a test lab, and, UPM kind of being everything in between. how can we start to work together so that AddUp can qualify machines faster, coordinate with customers, and increase their success in the marketplace? How do we do that? And so we made this announcement of and kind of divvied up, where we stand. And this feeds into a lot of the processes you see now on qualification. I mean, if any of you were at TRX, wow, last month now. Seems like it was just yesterday. You saw a lot of talk about qualification. You saw a lot of talk about common qualification templates. You're seeing America Makes projects awarded now towards these qualifications. So these collaborations are starting to form. But thinking ahead of how you're going to get there versus just simply buying a machine and we'll wait till it gets installed. The planning needs to start before that machine's ever purchased. And there are multiple collaborations out there. This is just one example of how we're looking to empower the users to get their equipment up and running and reliable faster. Because once it's up and running and it's qualified, well, you're all muted, but yeah, you make money. And that's what we all want to do at some point. So talking about our case study, talking about how we did this with a local customer, I kind of wanted to tease you guys with where we see the next piece because, we're in Cincinnati, Ohio. Well, what if we'll just pick on Los Angeles, California. I don't have someone out there and I'm not driving my truck back and forth out there, but how can I help customers throughout the country understand their inventory so that I can plan my inventory so that there is always availability and so that they can understand and see if there's a surge in demand, they don't have to call us. We'll already see it. So we are going to be launching in the next few months a digital solution. We call it Digital Managed Inventory. There will be software on either end with our customers and us. There will be a unique barcode or QR code on every build plate. We can laser engrave those on the side so they're not anywhere interfering. Basically, you'll scan the plate in and out as you use it. So we will at least understand the usage of plates. And we'll create a dashboard. One of the key pieces I always say to this is, if you have Amazon Subscribe and Save, you don't have to think about anymore about ordering your vitamins for next month. It's already on a rhythm. They see it. But you always can drop in if your demand has changed and order more vitamins. It's there. They keep it in stock. I mean, I would say, 90% of the time, there's always those weird few items that take like a month to get to you. In this case, though, going back to that 65-day potential cycle, we're going to cut that short and we're going to make it simple. On top of that, we're going to start pooling more demand across the industry. So whether you have 30 machines or whether you just have one machine, when we have the demand, we can go ahead and have the material ahead of time, which not only decreases the lead time, but will decrease cost. That's what we want to do. Full control, lower costs. And I mean, again, anyone can do this. No one's just looked at it yet. And that's why I wanted to present this idea out to the America Makes team, because I think there's importance to this, especially as we get to our funded projects and we have deadlines and program plans. It's the idea of failing to plan is planning to fail. That's one I've always heard drilled into me, 1,000 times, 100 times, million times. I mean, I'm old now, so yeah, probably a million times. But you have to have the plan and you have to understand the vision and you got to start looking around corners. So again, we don't want people to run out. We don't want people to have to spend extra capital if they don't have, because the idea is if there's more working capital back into the ecosystem, it can continue to grow, especially during a time when we are limited in being able to get capital or afford the interest rates of capital. So going forward in 2024 and beyond, kind of a look at this. Metal additive can be adopted with minimal investment. I think we've, shown a couple of pieces on that. Organic growth based on introduction of printed parts allows for right sizing. So again, what our philosophy is, don't go out and buy 5 machines if you can't afford 5 machines, but at least do what you do to get that one machine and get things going. Validate your ideas, minimize your investment, and start transforming your industry. Understand your mission and true north to increase clarity. So again, that value statement that I showed a couple slides ago. What do you do well? What is it you want to be doing? What is it you don't want to be doing? Excuse me. Make sure and understand your direction and keep going. Keep revisiting it. Make sure, are we still pointed, is the compass pointed in the right direction? Level loading of costs will drive investment predictability and timing. So again, if you start to know the cost of a build, the cost of a fail build, the cost of your build plate, the cost of your recoater blades, your powder, all these elements that go in, you can start to be predictive to understand where your spend is going to go. Qualification must be standardized to decrease timing from investment to revenue. I am sure everyone has a number in their head, but if I said, your machine is delivered on January 1st. It is fully installed at your facility. It's lights on, ready to print. How long in your head, how long do you think it is before that machine will start to actually generate revenue? Not just turn on, but generate revenue. I mean, is it days, weeks? I mean, what I've seen in past facilities is it's months. And that's a shame. Months before that machine will generate revenue. That's what you bought it for. But you got to qualify it. You've got to dial in your parameters. You got to make sure, so we're trying to get ahead of that curve and make it so much simpler and make it common so that when you qualify at site 1, it is the same as site 2 and site 3 and so on. Universities will expand programs to create a larger needed workforce. Guess what? If additive is growing, we're going to need people to work on it. It's not all automated yet. And so we still need the people. And so universities are going to help that expansion of additive by creating undergrad programs, graduate programs, trade school programs. Digital tools will be enhanced to manage the entire value chain. So, I mean, again, I just showed you an example of how we want to do that with inventory. I think there's going to be many more, especially as we get into heat treatment and hipping and machining. We're already seeing, predictive machining tools out there. It's going to keep going up, and it's going to help grow other industries beyond additive. So my summary slide is that scheduling within the facility is key to managing inventory levels. Utilizing a Kanban stocking system can reduce your overall spend. Having build plate stock available of high quality will reduce risk of downtime and failed builds. Build plate life can be extended, essentially using data and understanding your key characteristics. Industry will scale. Lean processes will enable growth. Not all facilities can possess all equipment needed for success. Therefore, finding partners and collaborations can be beneficial. And I've already touched on the digital tools. I think that's going to continue to grow, and we're all going to need them, and we're all going to be able to have them be accessible and user-friendly. So with that, I say let's all continue to grow on the additive journey and see how we can all help each other. It's a great industry, and we continue to be a very collaborative partner across this as it grows. So with that, I will turn it back to Zane. We'll open it up for questions or comments. I will say thank you for everyone who has attended today. Feel free. We've got our QR code there to look at our website or our LinkedIn page, and feel free to reach out and contact myself or additive@upmet.com for any other questions that you may have.
Great. Thank you, Chris. And then if you have any questions you would like to share, please go ahead and put those here in the chat, and we can run through those. While I'm waiting to see if anybody puts anything there, I would like to have just a couple other notes. I shared in the chat there our America Makes YouTube channel. So if you wanted to rewatch Chris's presentation or wanted to go back and view any previous TRX webinars that we've had, you are welcome to look at our YouTube channel and go see those there.
Yes, and also Zane, real quick, anyone on the call, we will be at Rapid this year. Please do come out and stop by the booth, say hello. And we usually have pretty good swag too, so come by and grab some swag.
Love that. You're gonna have to compete with our glasses cleaners. They're ahead.
We'll try. We'll give it a shot.
I'm not seeing anything come through in the chat just yet, but if you do, feel free to share. Otherwise, we will give you back some extra time in your day. We'll give it about 2 more minutes, 2:35, and we'll see if anything comes through.
Absolutely. And again, thank you to everyone who has attended today. And if you get home tonight, you go, man, I should have asked about this. Always feel free to reach out. We are, as you can tell, I am happy to talk additive and supply, till the day is long. So.
Yep. Let me see here. All right, going to copy this. I'm not seeing anything come through, so I guess with that, we'll wrap up the TRX webinar series for the day. I'd like to say thank you to Chris for your presentation, and if you have any other questions for him, please reach out. I'm going to go ahead and share Chris's email here in the chat, and feel free to reach out to him directly.
Absolutely.
Again, I did say we share these on our YouTube channel, so if you want to check out this or any of our past webinars, feel free to go take a look. And with that, I wish everybody else a good day. Welcome back to 25 minutes of your day.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.